It is 5:30 on December 10th. Members present are Deb Green, Kelly Reese, myself, Jim Sullivan. Also present is Jeff Miller, Cindy Billings, and Scott Barney. Topics for discussion for tonight are the advertising and budget items. Scott, did you have anything to finalize before year end?
We have, since he's not here, I'll go ahead and bring it up. My understanding in the police department, the radar units, we were getting buy three, get one free,
Right.
but it's good through December 14th.
Oh, okay.
So we have to do it out of this year rather than leaving the budget for next year if we want to get that 3-1.
Okay.
Buy three, get one free.
Correct. I think we can squeeze it out of this year's budget without doing anything.
How much were they?
I have $8,300.
For all?
Yes.
This is replacement for the ones we currently have. Correct?
Correct. That's all I have at the moment.
Any discussion on this? You have nothing?
No, it's almost a must-have to me, it seems.
Yeah.
It's a shame that it ends the 14th and it can't carry it next year, but
So I'm assuming next year it would be buy more, get zero free.
correct.
We're still gonna pay for it next year, I would just, because we
Right.
order it now, it
They're
would be
replacing
this year's
units, it's not
appropriations.
like we're adding units.
Right.
Right. Okay, no discussion on that at all. Let's go back to the advertising item. You brought that up about a month ago. The point of the advertising is was cost versus coverage.
Correct.
I did some research.
Okay.
This was done December 4th. Appears that the figures we have, or had, these are as up to date as they get. Gave a sample of a legal notice that is in the paper. Canton Repository was $190 for one day. Additional $3.60 if you want to put it on the web. The Alliance Review was $152 between that and 161, because when I called them, they said it was $16 to $17 per column inch. There was no affidavit charge on these. The Hartville News is $78.38 plus a $5 for the affidavit charge, which makes it a total of $83.38.
So the only one that's really out of whack is the Alliance Review price. But I don't think, do you have, Scott, what we've been paying for the Alliance Review on our bills? Like,
What's-
what was it?
What was your cost per inch?
The cost for, I'm sorry,
No, how many, I mean, just like in this notice, how many column inches?
9.5, it's at the very top of the page I gave you.
Oh, okay, 9.5 inches.
9.5 column inch with the same size for ad for 1 day. The repository was $20 a column inch. The Alliance Review was $16 to $17 an inch.
So, per subscription, how many people are reading the repository as opposed to the Hartville News?
Well, I don't know, but I also know that you need to get the local people, and the Hartville News gets the local people. Plus, we have used the Hartville News since 1960. They pay Hartville income tax, and they are a member of this community. And I, for one, would like to support them, because that's what this community is about. Because we professed we're one of the, good communities, hometowns, and this is hometown.
I was just asking if
Well-
Hartville News is showing 400 people and the repository is showing 4,000 people.
I did not ask that,
That's
okay?
quite the difference, that's all.
Well, I did not ask that question, Jeff.
We just need to be careful when we say that, because then that would be true with everything we purchase or sell. We would want to use hometown.
I have a question. The difference is a price per week. The Hartville News, they can carry that paper around for a week and have that same ad. If you put it in the Canton repository of the Alliance Review, it's in there for 1 day. And if they miss
It's in there
that,
for 1 day, and the other one too, they can carry any paper around they want.
Correct.
if they miss that day though, they miss it.
But it's, again, I would go back to, it's still 1 day. The difference too is the repository is published every day.
Right, and the Alliance
Canton
Review is,
repository, we could be 2 weeks late by the time we get it in a Hartville News because of the lag time of getting it in time for the next publication. Because it won't come out again until the next.
That's actually been an issue for planning commission meetings and BZA meetings, because we have to give a certain amount of time before we have a meeting.
Right.
Well, then are you guys going to announce?
We gotta go back to
Yeah,
conditions.
I wanna kind of hold this discussion amongst ourselves first.
Okay.
Because we might have different solutions based upon the conditions.
Yeah,
that
You might have
we're
to use
looking
different papers for different things.
for. Correct.
Right.
I
So we
totally
have,
agree.
we have a couple different points to talk about. The first one is, so we're talking about cost. The second one is what we've brought up before is the difference between a daily paper and a weekly paper. A daily paper can, if in certain situations, we need to get it on paper, in a paper as quickly as possible. We can't wait till a Thursday. Okay, I get that. So, and what Kelly was saying is correct. There may be a situation where we could define, if we could define what we can put in the Hartville News, we put it in the Hartville News this way. If we can define what goes in the Alliance Review because of this, then we put it in the Alliance Review. It could end up being a blended decision,
Correct,
Absolutely.
so.
correct. Do you want to come up with what we think are the conditions, and then we can actually do some research to actually.
For the most part, I think if we're just simply putting information back out there, our notices, we put out every year, we put the same notices out about leaf pickup. We put the notices out about parking bans for snow. We put the notices out for all the ordinances that we passed for the month. Those are standard notices. I think those are not time-sensitive notices. So if we look at things as being, the difference between being time-sensitive and then other things as being not time-sensitive, I think we have two different categories we can work from.
We need to know it's gonna be put in though. I mean, the leaf pickup, no big deal. Snow parking ban, no big deal. The ordinances by law, we have to put in the paper.
Right.
We tried to use the Hartville News 2 weeks ago for our BZA meeting. They neglected to put it in the paper. We did not legally advertise our last BZA meeting. By the time we realized it wasn't in, it was too late to do anything else with it, so we didn't do anything, but it was not legally advertised.
Well, then maybe just as a standard, meeting should be in a daily paper, just to make sure. If we don't catch it, if we have 2 days, and we don't catch it the next day, it can be caught for the day after, whatever the case may be. You know, we say we planned a meeting tonight for Friday, then we have 2 opportunities to get it in the paper beforehand. If it gets an oversight or whatever it may be, you know.
Well, a
accident.
regular committee meeting, we don't have to put in the paper.
Well, I know,
Yeah,
but I'm just
we don't do
saying,
that.
just in general, if there's a meeting that needs to be advertised, it daily gives you more buffer for human mistakes, basically.
So what other scenarios that we had? So we had snow parking ban, leaf pickup.
All we advertise really is leaf pickup, snow parking bans, the ordinances every couple of months. We have to advertise by law our planning commission meetings, our BZA meetings,
Bids.
any bids we do on streets or sewer work, anything like that. That's really about it.
How often do we put the ordinances in?
Just depends. We don't do them monthly, we probably do them every couple of months.
Is that more informational? It's not, or is it
It's,
legal?
we need to do that by law, otherwise we wouldn't waste our time.
Is that something we could actually change? Can
We
we,
need,
so we have to publicize it. I mean, this is a question, I guess, for Ron. We have to the publication by law. Can we change?
Go on.
Yeah, can we change it so that?
It's not our
publication-
law.
Well, that's what I'm saying, is can we change that publication to be the website?
that's by the basic code. I would love to just do everything by website. I don't understand why they
No,
still
you can't.
do
Okay,
this, but no,
that's
we're
what
not
I'm
allowed.
asking, I'm
No.
just simply asking.
We're allowed to do it on the website as well as with the paper, but
Yeah.
honestly, if we gotta use paper anyway, why bother?
Right.
So I have snow parking ban, leaf pickup, BZA meetings, planning meetings. Was it BZA? Is that the one you said? Ordinances and bids. Anything else?
Just really big form of bids, wouldn't it?
Bids
Yeah.
are kind of a unique because if it involves the engineer is actually handing those bid packets out. So-
Yeah, I mean, we put
He's
it in the
directing it,
paper
yeah.
because we have to, but
Exactly,
we don't really get anything out of that.
but if if it would be a bid for any kind of, I don't know, what's the last service that he asked for?
We had, when we had the sewer work done, he sent those to whoever he thought would wanna do the work. We did get a couple other ones as well, but,
We did the bids for the windows, did we actually do bids for windows? or-
we did, but we just called people.
Right,
Yeah, we got those on our own. 'Cause we want to keep that in the area.
I don't recall any bids that we've advertised for, but
yeah.
Really mostly just like paving and sewer, yeah.
Right. It's our current ordinance says anything over 50,000.
We have to get bids, but it doesn't really say how to get them.
Right.
yeah.
thoughts?
So, let's go, can we go through these real quick and just say which ones are time sensitive? And anything else you wanna know, and then we can come back with a recommendation is what I would suggest. So if it's blended, one, other, and then we can vote on it.
The meetings are the most time sensitive, the BZA and planning.
That's it? The other ones are not time sensitive?
No, as long as we get them in on time.
Those are pretty small in stature, aren't they? It's just basically meeting, time, date,
Yeah,
address. So
There's
those are
nothing-
relatively inexpensive no matter what.
And then, how often do we, like, for example, snow parking, we pick up,
We put that in at the beginning of when they're doing it, and that's it.
and we post it once, publish it once.
Yeah.
Same with bids, publish once.
No, bids you normally have to do more.
It's usually every 3 times.
3, and then there's something we have to do 5 times. I think it's when the zoning change or something like that. Yeah. Cheryl would have more details on that stuff. Because she's the one that does all the
And I'm
newspapers.
assuming zoning change also has a time sensitive? You have to get it
Well-
3 times.
Not necessarily, because you put it in, you tell them all at once, you know. You turn it in and say this needs to be in 5 times. Same with the 3-time ones.
Okay.
And that doesn't matter if it's 5 days concurrently or 5 weeks or 5
No,
months.
they usually do 5 weeks.
For this
Yeah,
one.
like every Friday.
Gotcha.
We'll do every Friday or something like that.
So would bids be the only one that you would potentially want a larger audience for? Out of all
Not
of these?
necessarily even that, because like Jim said, the engineer will hand deliver or email the stuff to the people he thinks will be interested in it, so. I mean,
So these are more for nice to haves, not for legal reasons, not.
well, you get a few people, but, yeah.
See what I'm
it's not
saying? I
something-
mean, what's gonna be
Yeah.
pertinent to people? Because we
Yeah.
talk about communication a lot and trying to get out to the public,
Mhm.
any of the information we're trying to get to them.
And we found, quite honestly, no newspapers do that according to the public.
Well, it's mixed, because some people go directly to web, there's a lot of people that don't even get newspapers anymore,
Right.
and it's 100% web.
I just remember when we had all those no parking people in here,
Right,
nobody read anything.
correct. So,
And most things we are allowed to put on our website as well as in the paper. A lot of it, and I'll have to look it up and maybe email it to you guys how it's written. Like some of the things that you have to put on for 3 times or 5 times. You have to advertise it in a paper the first time, but after that, I think you can do it on the website.
okay.
I'll have to look it up and send it to you.
Deb, do you know, does Lake Township 100% only use Hartville News?
I believe they do. I'm talking with Sophie, who's the one that puts them out. That and their website.
How do you want to approach this? I mean, Hartville News is the cheapest, and we think it's not time sensitive.
Leaf pickup, things like that, Cheryl automatically puts in there just because.
In the Hartville News.
That's all we do is leaf pickup in here. Yeah, she has.
So she already goes to Hartville News for those things.
Yep.
So what do we
everything else.
And you had gotten their prices from the websites, right?
No, I talked to people, I didn't get anything from the website, no. I emailed everybody the exact,
Which was on that
Like
email.
this, like, yeah,
That's what
that's
those
what I
numbers
did.
came from. Actually, I can. Do you have that email with you, Cindy?
no, I have the paper you passed out the other day.
Okay, which I pulled from your email.
Yeah, that's all I have, I mean, I could pull it up if you want me to.
Which one was it?
You would have done it.
Oh.
I sent it to Kellyanne because she asked me for it.
I asked questions.
Do you want Cheryl to come up with a list of everything she does and how often and
Yeah,
things like that?
yeah. Yeah, I'll send you what I have right here and then we'll go from there. She can add to it,
Okay.
and then I'll put your prices in and I'll validate with that. The numbers that I've provided to you then.
So to be continued.
Yeah, I think right now, if you're talking about, if, I would say, if the Hartville News is the cheapest and there's no additional audience necessary, I mean, we don't need a broader audience than Hartville, then I would say, the Hartville News would probably be the correct publication. My concern would be if it's time sensitive, similar to what just happened, as you mentioned, we probably don't want to wait a week and then publish it the following week. So I would suggest on time-sensitive ones, we pick another newspaper to do those.
Typically, everything from the Hartville News has to be in by Tuesday.
Tuesday noon.
And
So that's,
so if it comes Wednesday, or if it comes, if we have council meeting on a Tuesday night, and we need something by the end of the week, then it's
It's
time
not.
sensitive.
so I think that's probably how it would play out, assuming the prices are all right. Then I think we've got the lowest price and the correct usage for that. But I think we'll have two use cases would be my guess.
Okay.
So I think if we just go with that option, I think if we can get these numbers, we can probably have it in front of council on Tuesday and then make sure that we're all.
I'll talk to
completed.
Cheryl tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay. So, the other items are anything in the budget that's, it's open, all of it's open for discussion. And we'll try to nail it down so that we can all agree on it. For Scott's sake, it has to be passed by emergency on next Tuesday.
For everybody's sake, it has to be passed by Thursday next Tuesday.
Well, if it's not, it's 30 days or whatever.
We don't have any way to pay our employees for the first
Right.
half of it.
Right, everybody's the same.
honestly, I don't have any questions. I mean, I'm okay with the idea that we've put it, the process works as far as what we do for a budget. The issue I come up with is throughout the year, we're constantly making budgetary changes, appropriation changes throughout the year. So whatever we even decide to do tonight and pass on Tuesday, it's subject to change.
And that's because we cut it so close, so we're not wasting money.
Yeah, and, I mean, by the first of the year, we're already, we could be looking at changes, whatever it is. So. Anything you wanna discuss?
I just don't understand how a budget in 2015 in the police department almost doubled. We went from 673,959 to 1,053,711.
Say those numbers again, please.
Well, I do want to point out that your 15 number is actual.
I understand that, but I'm just,
The 2020 budget is a budget, so.
okay, I'm just saying, you're still almost, if you want to take even 19, you still almost doubled. Can I have my sheet back, please?
Yeah, let me take a picture of it, actually.
I can give you one, Kelly.
Huh? It's in my car, actually.
We take everything, we separate the two into payroll and operations. Everything below it is basically the operations part.
Mhm.
So if you take the operations part, from year to year, the budget doesn't, the budget amounts actually don't change very much. What we're talking about is the payroll part.
So,
That's what's causing the increase by 300,000.
yeah, 'cause you have 227,000 just in full-time employees.
Yeah.
Do you know how many employees we had in 2015?
Sub full-time, right?
Yeah, probably 4 part-time. I think,
Seven and 4 versus 7 and 6 now.
well, we have 8 full-time now.
8 full-time.
I'm sure healthcare's gone up a lot since then too.
Yeah, the
For
healthcare.
the last
ends
2
up-
years, we've had the overtime issues.
Right.
yeah, the healthcare part ends up on the bottom section under the operations. And then Scott's done a pretty good job of separating, so we see payroll. Payroll's completely separated from everything else.
It's part of payroll though, right?
Yeah, it's, I
Oh, it's 31.
agree it's
Got
part
it.
of payroll, but. in
Not
the-
on this paper.
Got it.
Yeah.
No, you're right. Yeah, that number's actually stayed pretty constant.
Yes.
Nice
Yeah.
job,
I've
Scott.
been fortunate.
Nice job. But we did estimate it out next year, but that's because we have another employee, correct?
Yes.
In fact, on the operations side, it's only about a $70,000 difference between 15 and 20. 15 actual and 20 budget. So we're still talking, the difference is this is 300,000 on the payroll. How much of that is overtime? About 36,000.
Oh, I would have to pull those numbers, I don't know off the top of my head. Difficult, it varies because they get comp time, so it's, I don't think there's a great deal of, this year we have a lot of overtime this last few months.
That's because of the one less employee,
Even police and fire,
just the coverage.
police and fire almost doubled. It was 59,000 in 2015, and it's 104,000 in 20.
I think that's the thing, once you add, add any employees or, it's not just their salary, it's everything that goes with it as well.
Correct.
The police and fire, the Medicare to work, all that goes on.
Yep. It's the whole package.
Exactly.
And when we look at hours for part-timers, we're not looking at part-timers as individuals, we look at part-timers as hours.
Correct.
So even though it's 7 full-time versus 7 full-time, those full-time people take a slot, but it's part-timers making up the additional hours.
Ideally it is, but that's not always how.
I understand, but I mean, that's, in the past, what Scott has done.
It was this spring, we lost 2 part-timers, right?
Correct, yeah, they were full-time other places, 2 good ones.
That kind of hurt us this year.
But your general fund, your total general fund projected for 2020 is 2,137,097.97. And if your proposed budget of 1.053711, that's half your budget, is what I'm getting at. So half of your general budget, or your budget, is going to police.
So it looks like that's part of the trend, I would imagine, over the years.
It is, I mean,
Even
You
in
look at-
2015, I would imagine that was.
you look at your employees, and like, for instance, Nate's guys, there's 4 of them, they work 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. These guys are on 24/7, I mean, we're paying somebody for the police 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's not like they have a shift and they're done,
Correct, it's not an 8 to 5 job.
These guys get a holiday, they're here,
Yep.
So it's gonna be more expensive than the other departments, it's just the way it's gonna be. We basically have 3 shifts of police as opposed to 1 shift of everybody else.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna be around that.
If we could cut this down to 1 shift, I mean, we would be in line with everything else, but.
Yeah, there isn't really much of a change from 15 as far as the percentage of the general fund budget. I mean,
That's what I'm saying, it's about the same ratio.
right.
Unfortunately, the cost of business has just gone up, that's inflation, and, there's not a raise in there that we implemented, that's, everything that's in there you guys implemented. It's all discussed here.
And I mean, every one of these years, we've gone through the budgets we've approved, we've, took out what we didn't want in there.
The only item I had was the vehicle, and we already discussed that once before, so. There's no vehicle for next year?
Yeah,
that
it is.
the-
It's in the
No, no,
budget.
no, no.
There's a vehicle for 20, there's no vehicle for 21.
Yeah, we,
That's-
Correct.
Exactly.
It's either, the way I look at it, it's either no vehicle for 20 and then one gets put in 21,
Correct.
or new vehicle.
And you've got the chance of having more repairs because you're using one that's higher in mileage.
but sadly, we're still repairing that car too right now. And Jim, that is providing there's nothing catastrophic that's unexpected, but yeah, we,
Absolutely,
Right.
and I get that, I mean.
On something like that, you would hope
yeah,
the insurance would pay.
The whole budget is based on
right, exactly.
hopefully nothing.
Yeah, but we would not plan on putting a vehicle in the budget for 2021.
Correct.
Right. And we're doing the same thing with the truck for the street department. We just hope that particular truck that nothing happens to it in the winter,
Right.
you know. So, we're gonna see what happens in the spring. We'll evaluate that particular truck, we'll actually evaluate in the springtime to see if we need to purchase one for the fall.
But I think it goes back to that
It-
list that you asked for,
Yeah.
what are the mandatory vehicles that we need for the street department? If
Exactly,
that truck is on the list, we
right.
plan ahead for that.
Well, you got one truck we couldn't even have got this winter, so
No,
that's
we
why it was
wouldn't
easier
have.
to push it back to next spring, so we would have had it for this season
Exactly,
anyway.
that's the point I was gonna make with that one. It would have been ordered, it would not come in for this winter anyways,
Correct.
so we can just push the evaluation until later. Is there any other items on here that we? So we're okay to approve the budget next Tuesday? I don't like it.
I'm,
We're,
you know where I stand, that's all,
Yeah.
I'm not being.
oh yeah, I get it, I get it. I
You
mean,
don't, the income tax didn't pass, and, you know, you gotta show people that you're trying to do something, and I don't feel this is what we're doing, so.
Buy which part of it? Just ask her.
I don't feel we're wasting money on any of it. We're not buying
Well, that's
frivolous
an honest
things.
question.
There's nothing on any of these that they don't need. I
Is
don't
the
really.
police side you don't like?
Jeff, I think all the departments need to be,
Well, I just asked you what you don't like, so.
well, I don't like the fact that we bought 2 vehicles, we're putting another vehicle in here, we're increasing their uniform allowance. That's what I don't like. I don't think those are necessarily things that
We're
need
not
done.
increasing their uniform allowance.
It's 26,600 and it went from 12.
They're getting the same amount.
We're
For their
providing
uniform.
items that.
I'm
are
saying,
used in
if they're
terms
not getting the same amounts, they can't be.
of maybe the police department.
The check that each officer is getting is gonna be exactly the same as it's always been. They'll get a little more because we're not taking the tax part out of it, but.
Is the uniform allowance not 1,200? Scott,
Pardon me?
the uniform allowance,
Yes.
$1,000 for
Just
full-time.
$1,000.
600 for part-time.
So that's like 12, well then how's come in the budget, you have 26,600.
We have our other items that we, emergency replacement.
Like,
Things get ripped, torn.
Destroyed, yep. You have to be able to replace things that get ruined if we end up in a fight or they get damaged through the course of a business.
We used to keep those 2 separate line items, they put them together this time.
And again, we gotta remember, this is a proposed budget, but we're still having conversations on spend. You know what I mean? It's just,
Yeah, the issue, I mean, and I know where Bev's going with this is, the issue is that we approve a budget, then the question never arises again. We've given an amount, that amount's there, and the department heads and the mayor and the fiscal officer realize that's the amount they can
They
spend
can
up.
spend up to.
They never do.
Not,
They never spend all
I'm not saying, because I've seen where they do. I know Nate, he'll go out and make special purchases at the end of the year to use up
Has
the
he ever
remainder.
used all his money?
To use up the remainder, because he tells me about it.
Yeah.
He
We
goes out
don't
and
use all
buys
of
certain
it.
items.
Because,
Yeah.
None of them do.
Are we always under budget for the most part every year?
Yeah, we make adjustments here and there.
I guess I feel like we're trying to run a village. You can't do it and not spend money. Either we wanna do it, or we can just outsource all this stuff and get rid of everybody. I mean, that's always an option.
And that might be an option we need to look at. Because I think some of these are outpricing
Not if
themselves.
you wanna keep it hometown, like you said earlier.
People live here because they like the way things are being done. They like having their police force, they like having their street department pick their leaves up. It's not something we have to do, but that's what they want. I mean, it's up to you guys.
For the most part, the budget, what we're doing, and when we get to the street side of things, we'll talk about that, you know, basic equipment list. We've established procedures that keep, you know, outside of the budget, that actually keeps us in line with the budget. It supports the budget. We just need to keep looking at those kind of items to say, we need a procedure, we need a process, we need something in place to say, we're not going out there and buying an additional truck, we're going to replace a truck. That procedure helps guide us and guides future council in what they need to be doing. Scott's, when we did we set up the budget initially, we had a policy guide for how much to keep in reserve.
Yep.
We follow that, we keep that, and we need to have that helps us establish and it gives Scott guidance on.
We've also set up funds for stuff which now suddenly people don't want to put the money in for. I mean, it doesn't help to set up guidelines and policies if we then don't follow them.
And I think that's the biggest thing, is we need to have discussions around, do we change the policies that we set up originally, to your point, at the end of the budgets? I mean, I think having a master list of equipment, great idea. I think when we start talking about buying the police vehicles, we made a decision last year to pre-purchase a vehicle to save money, because we knew we had to purchase it this year. So I get we spent it last year, but we really were trying to save money for this year. So you can spend more money this year and get the same thing, different model year, different everything else, but we try to make the decision to save the money. So I wanna make sure that we're having the right conversations, and we're not just saying we're gonna cut and we're not gonna spend anything, because that's where we were when we came into this, is we had no money saved, no way to replace equipment. We're now in a position where we have things in our accounts that are allowing us to do this replacement of equipment, just like the one.
And we have things in order, and now you guys want to backtrack on it all.
But I just wanna make sure we have conversations if we're changing the rules, and that there's a reason why we're doing it. I mean, again, not buying Nate's truck, okay, does Nate need a truck? I don't know, I'll see the inventory list, but if that does need a truck, then when do we purchase it? It doesn't mean that the money's not gonna sit there, it just means we're not gonna spend it this year. So just being cognizant of, we know that there's future spend, and saving today for what we need to spend tomorrow. So we're not ourselves back in the point where we can't afford, because that was the whole reason, I mean, when we started doing the police cruisers, I mean, that was our biggest thing, is we've got to replace, they were all old. And we're like,
Everything,
I can't
every
replace
department.
6 police cruisers in 1 year, I can't do it. So now how do we get it so we don't get ourselves back into it? And I think we're in pretty good shape from that perspective, it's just, you know, what's the price to do business versus.
Right. We have the money to maintain, but we don't have the money to
Expand.
expand.
What did we get for that last cruiser?
I think it was 10.5.
And that was a $28,000, $30,000 cruiser.
Yeah, it was, yeah, we paid about 28 for it.
And how many miles we have on it?
Right around 70, wasn't it? Somewhere around there, 68 or 72 or something.
I I think it was in the,
They're usually in the 70s.
I think it's somewhere
Close to
around there.
80.
it was close to 80, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, is it that? Well, I guess, yeah,
Much
it would
pretty,
still be
When they
driven
get
for a long
pretty good as
time.
you look at our.
Well, remember, that was the
AirPods.
Tahoes, that was,
Right.
that was
Once it
actually
gets
several
out,
years
it's
old.
Steady,
That's,
yeah.
you know, our.
Plus that was getting driven two
15,
shifts
it's
every day.
the Same amount of money, repairs and maintenance. You know,
Plus the vehicle down, what down a vehicle, I mean, it's just, there's a lot.
There's a lot of reasons why you don't wanna let a police cruiser get old.
It is their equipment.
We
It's
started
really one
out,
of the most important pieces of their equipment.
we started out getting basically nothing for them. So I mean, when you change it, you're getting 10,000 out of them or a little bit better. That's really a big swing too, that has to be considered.
Which means I'm only paying.
That was the first SUV we sold, wasn't it?
Yes,
The rest were all cars.
yes, the rest were the old Tahoes, or Tauruses, yes.
it's a balance between residual value versus new purchase.
Exactly.
You have to, we still balance that. That's around 100,000 miles in 5 years. When you run out of the warranty in 100,000 miles, it's time to replace it. That's the only reason I questioned it is because we were still at 78,000 on it.
Well, but warranties are only going 36,000
Yep.
miles.
Okay.
They're 3 or 36,000 mile warranties.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Okay. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
We
We
have
get
the option to purchase
36,000
more for about
two months, 2 years.
$2,500, we can purchase the extended warranty.
Yeah.
Take it to 100,000.
Anything else to discuss on the budget? Think we're good for Tuesday?
I think so.
I will back out the
Maybe 300.
radar unit.
For this year into for next year into this year? Okay. And you don't require any appropriation change for that?
No, I think we can, I talked to the chief and we can
So you can order that in the morning?
reduce some POs and we're not gonna probably need all the money in a few areas.
Okay.
So I think we can squeeze it out this year.
Okay. No changes in the retirement reserves? You got that set up properly?
Barring any yeah. Let's see here.
I mean, it's on a schedule, so.
Right,
it's-
I mean,
Yeah,
I'm not aware of anything new coming up.
okay.
We'll look at it later in the year. Make any adjustments.
Okay. I have nothing additional. If there's nothing else, I'll make a motion that we adjourn. All those in favor say aye.